you for choosing Grand Skills as your #1 online free professional course creator. For your notice, I want you to know that the instructor of this course has put in so much effort, time and money just to create this content for you to learn all for free. So please do well to click on the subscribe button, turn on the bell notification to all so you will be the first to get our video tutorials we'll be posting at all time. Also give it a thumbs up and drop a comment to help us improve more. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back to the class. Today I'll be taking you or instructing you on the word ISO, which is the function of ISO in your camera. Today we are going to go deeply on it, and so that when you see the word ISO in your camera, you know the function and what it does, and how to put it in good settings to have a quality picture. Without taking much of your time, I'll quickly dive into it so that you can learn more about it. In your camera, we have the word ISO, which is the ISO of your camera. This ISO stands for a lot of things in your camera. First of all, it helps you to have a quality image if you can have the good settings about it. Secondly, is the sensitivity of the camera, which has to do with the amount of light that comes into the camera, connecting to the frames of the camera. So, and the complete word of ISO has to do with interresolutivity, which is the I part of it. The second one is the systematized, which is the S, while the third one is opopolitimus. So these three words are actually the complete words of ISO, which is the ISO. They are combined words. It stands for sensitivities of camera. So without taking much of your time, we are going to know what are these sensitivity and how do they function in our camera, so that when you combine them with your speed and aperture, you can be able to have a quality picture to present to your clients. In this case, you can see the frequencies I wrote down here. When you enter your ISO function in your camera, you are going to see a lot of numbers like this. All camera might not have the same number as serially as you are saying them, but you are going to have numbers like this. These numbers has to do with the sensitivity of your camera. When we mean sensitivity, it has to do with the increase and the decrease of the function of your ISO in your camera. The place you find yourself or the environment in which you are to take a shot determines the kind of number you are going to use. So like I said, the amount of light coming into your camera connecting with the exposure of your camera, which will give you either brightness or darkness. You see that make your image look brighter or it looks darker. That's what we mean here. There are some places you find yourself like the indoor. In indoor, we have a very shady or dark environment, whereby you need to open your ISO to have a brighter image. And the amount of light that comes into your camera is very low. But when you are outside, taking pictures outside of the house, you have more bright weather. And the more the weather is bright, the more you reduce your ISO so that you can have a good quality image. So the functions of ISO in your camera has to do with how you manipulate your height, your speed and aperture, so that you can be able to combine them to have a good quality picture. First of all, I'll go with this. 16,000. I'll go with this. You see, it's a very high ISO. When you are using 16,000, you use it in a lower case, in a way that in an environment where you don't have lights. For example, you are taking an indoor picture or a cloudy weather, where you don't have much light coming into your camera. You have to increase the sensitivity of the camera, the ISO, to have a brighter picture. But one thing I must tell you, the more you increase the sensitivity of your ISO, the more your picture have more density. What I mean by density, noises. The picture might come out clear, but we have a lot of noise in it. We might not be a good image. So it is advisable that you always learn to bring down your ISO so that the density will not be much, or to have a more quality picture. So from here on, you can take 1000, you can take 800, depending on how cloudy the environment is this time, or how bright the environment is, or depends on the sun that is coming in. So the first thing you need to do that when reducing the high ISO, always take a shot so that you see the difference between when increasing it and when reducing it. I must tell you, the more you reduce it, the more you have a darker look image. And that darker look image will give you more sharpness and more quality image because the noise will be dying off. So most time we don't advise someone using these ones. We don't advise you to use these two because it will reduce the quality of image you try to produce to your client, and that will not be good for you as a professional photographer. So we advise that as a professional, you have to come down to this particular 3. See that you come down to 400, 200, and 100 so that you can have a good image. But the 100 is better when your environment is brighter. It depends on the amount of light you have in that environment. If you have enough light, 100 is very, very okay for you to use. But if the light is not much, you can increase to 200 so that you can have the same quality picture. But amounting to 400 or 800, you should expect some level of density in your image, which is more noise in your image. So it will not be advisable for you to be going out there. So remember, we are trying to explain, I'm trying to put you through on the function of ISO in your camera. In general, we're talking about the amount of light that comes into your camera. When you are on ISO of 100, you are going to experience a more quality picture with enough depth on it, because it's going to bring out your sharpness and you will not have any, you will not experience anything called noise. It kills the noise of the camera, it brings out the quality, and it makes it look more sharp, though in a darker format. Now, if you increase your ISO to 200, you find out that your image is becoming brighter with the same quality with that of 100, though there's a little difference in it because it becomes more brighter and the quality is retained. So that is why it is said the amount of light that comes into your camera, because the kind of light or the environment you find yourself, the brightness of that place determines how this functions, how these ISOs will function. If the place is totally dark, it won't work because you will not have a good image to present. So it's expected that you should have some level of light, no matter how small, to work with this ISO so that you can be able to take a good picture. So this is the function of ISO in your camera, and this is the sensitivity part of your camera. No matter how you set your speed light or your speed and aperture, if you don't understand your ISO, you are going to have the wrong image to present. So like I earlier explained, is to understand this, the ISO, which is the ISO is the sensitivity of your camera, which has to do with the amount of light that comes into your camera and the amount of light that is available for you to work. And while going up from 32,000 or 60,000, you should know that your camera is going to experience a lot of noise. Your pictures is going to experience a lot of noise on it, which will not be good for the image you want to give out to your client. But you have to come down. If you want to get a good image, come down to 200, 100 or 400, that as the case may be. There are some years in some camera you can see 300, 220, to something, but it's very advisable you stick between these 3 options so that you can have a good picture to present. So I hope this is good for you and this helps you a lot in your profession as you go. Thank you very much for listening.